Well, the government's being urged to clarify whether the Chinese firm Huawei will play a role in the UK's 5G network. Some of the country's biggest telecoms companies have written a draft letter to the head of the civil service saying the uncertainty is affecting investment in technology. Let's speak to Professor Curran. He's the Professor of Cybersecurity at Ulster University. Kevin, just remind us again why the name Huawei is so controversial.
Huawei are the world leader in equipment for wireless telecommunication networks. And of course, they're the number 2 seller of smartphones in the world. 180,000 employees. But really, they are one of the leaders in 5G. And the government has initially clarified that they were going to allow the National Security Council of Ministers initially gave the okay for Huawei to be involved in the rollout of 5G networks. But the US for some time now have been warning countries that they will deal with them differently if they allow Huawei's 5G technology to be used, because the US see Huawei as a threat and they see their equipment as a security threat, and they've been warning others off. But like I said, the National Security Council of Ministers under Theresa May initially clarified and said it was okay that they did not see a threat with Huawei equipment.
So it really boils down to concerns, allegations that the Chinese government is in some way using the firm as some sort of surrogate spying agency. Is there any truth in that?
Well, what we do know, there's never been a smoking gun found. I mean, there's nothing. And while we have an equipment base in the UK and they work with the National Cybersecurity Centre and their code is audited. And yes, there has been flaws found, but these would be found in anyone's equipment like Ericsson or Nokia, the others who work in this field. But nothing has been found that points to a deliberate backdoor which has been placed there under orders of the Chinese government. Because, of course, Huawei was funded by the Chinese government, but it's employee-owned. And again, so most people would say this is a trade war between between China and America, because the US was slow to the 2G, 3G market, but when they came to 4G, they were ahead and they made 100 billion. People estimate that they will make 500 billion if they were to win the 5G war. So really, America is trying to win in the rollout of 5G across the globe, because it can really add to the bottom line of their government income.
And Huawei itself, it says these allegations are basically nonsense and a smokescreen for frustrating China's attempts to emerge as a leading designer and provider of high-tech equipment. Then again, I suppose, critics would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course, again, and it's hard to prove a negative, really. So generally, a mobile industry report this week has also said that if we delay the rollout of 5G, which is effectively what will happen, because at the moment, UK operators have been planning their 5G networks for many years now, and they've bought the equipment, but now the government obviously have to come along and give a ruling, because if the government rule that Huawei equipment cannot be used in the future 5G networks, these operators will have no recourse but to, rip out the equipment and, of course, go with some other provider of telecommunication equipment. So at the moment, it's very difficult for them to plan, and there's going to be an economic cost, and other countries are going to leap ahead of us. So the UK really has to be proactive and make a decision and tell these operators whether or not Huawei's equipment can be used in the future 5G telecommunication infrastructure.
Professor Kevin Curran, thank you very much indeed for that.